Hello world. In Japan, the shika deer are revered and worshipped. I'd argue the most well-known place to see them is at Nara Park. The 1,100 deer that live there are said to be messengers of kami, of holy spirits. So that's kind of an important role, which can help explain why they are treated nicely. They freely roam the area and bow when fed shika senbei. Shika senbei are the special deer crackers made of rice bran and wheat flour that visitors can conveniently buy for them. Although sometimes they skip the bowing part and go straight to chasing the taste. I think the attraction here is easy to understand. Deer are wild creatures, but here they run the show. Though there are some problems at the park. There are warning signs that the deer can bite, kick, butt, and knock down people. They can kind of be pricks. But that's not the real problem with the behavior of deer. The real problem lies in what they eat. You can see a bit of this in evidence at the park, where some tree bark has been chomped on. To protect the trees, they cover them in wire netting. This can work at the park as there are only so many trees to worry about. But if you think about the whole of Japan, there's no possible way to protect all the trees in this fashion. So this is part of the real problem. The deer are ravenous eaters, clearing virtually all edible vegetation in their path. Whether it's farmers' fields or endangered plants, the now massive herds can't get enough. Since 1990, the population has roughly grown 10 times. Just a note, this graph shows the deer living in all areas of Japan minus Hokkaido, so that's estimated at 2.18 million. The estimate for Hokkaido is 670,000, so that's roughly 3 million deer in all of Japan in 2020. So there's a bunch of cute deer that like to eat plants. Is this really such a big deal? Well, the folks at the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries think so.
そうですね、鹿問題っていうとですね、場所にもよるんですけれども、例えば本当に山の中で増えているときは、鹿がですね増えすぎて、そこに生えている木とか草を食べる。で、中にはその貴重な動植物、植物が食べられてしまうっていう場合と、鹿がそこに生えている草を全部食べてしまって、雨が降ればですね、そこの土が全部流れ出すようなそういうふうなですね、生態系への被害というのがあります。
The SENJOGAHARA marshland is a protected high plateau wetland that has been under attack by deer. It's home to 350 native plant species and is famous for many types of wild birds. It's registered under the Ramsar Convention as a wetland of international importance. Accordingly, having deer eat up all the vegetation ruins the special habitat, and efforts are being made to protect it.
あそこにあるフェンスは戦場ヶ原全体をブロックする鹿の侵入を防ぐ柵になります。一周17キロある柵なんですけれども、柵の内側、私たちが立っている方ですけれども、そこには地面の植物、あと人間の背丈ぐらいの植物がいっぱい茂っています。でも柵を出た外側になるとあまりそういったものが生えていません。あれは全部鹿が食べてしまっているんですね。
Outside of the protected areas, you can clearly see the damage done to the bark of trees. To prevent this, some trees are covered in netting. You'll also notice that there's no tall vegetation. They've all been eaten by the deer.
木が生命活動している場所っていうのは実は皮の部分なんですね。皮の部分で葉っぱ出てきて栄養を下に下ろして、根っこから水を吸い上げてっていう行き来をしてるんですけども、結局皮が一周食べられると木の上と下の行き来ができなくなります。
And if the circulation stops, the tree will die. In a forest, trees dying is a natural process. So the danger is not that some trees die, but rather that too many of them die all at the same time, causing an imbalance in the forest. Thanks to the overpopulation of deer, this is what is happening. Of the 5,000 hectares of forest being damaged, 71% was caused by deer.
杉とかヒノキとかその植林地で苗を植えたら苗を食べる、植えてる木が育ってくるとその樹皮を剥がしてしまうっていうような林業の被害、 あと田畑に入ってきてですね、野菜とかそのお米とか、葉っぱのところが多いんですけれども、そういうものを食べるですね、農作物被害っていうのがあります。
週に1回農家さんのところに行って田植えのお手伝いしたりとか、お米を植えて秋ぐらいに収穫するんですけど、よっしゃ明日収穫するぞっていう次の日、もう収穫の当日にもう全部食べられて、畑に入られて食べられたりとか。
In 2021, deer caused 6 billion yen, or $46 million in damage to agricultural crops.
で近年は鹿がさらにですね、その人の住んでいる市街地にも出てきてですね、交通事故とかですね、列車の衝突事故っていうような、あとお家の庭にまで入ってくるような生活の被害っていうものですね、さまざまな増えすぎた鹿によるですね、被害問題というのが生じています。
最近になって獣害って言われてきたんですけど、実は獣害って江戸時代からずっとあって、江戸時代のその絵巻というか記録にももう獣害がひどすぎてもう食っていけみたいな農家さんの愚痴が書いてあったりとか。
There was actually a ban on killing animals for their meat in the Edo period, although in reality, deer were still killed for their meat, hide, and horns. However, the population remained stable. Things changed when the Meiji era started. The ban was lifted and the hunting of deer was encouraged so that their meat and hide could be exported for economic gain. Between 1873 and 1878, 570,000 Ezo deer in Hokkaido were killed. When combined with record-breaking snowfalls in 1879, this put them in grave danger of going extinct. So a prohibition was put in place between 1890 and 1910. For the following decades, this overhunting and prohibition pattern would repeat itself many times over. 50 years ago, deer were rare in Japan. I quote, "Over the decades of the 1970s and 1980s, deer had become such a rarity that any kind of sighting in the mountains was worth boasting about to anyone who would listen." However, as I mentioned earlier, starting in the 1990s, the deer population exploded in size.
あとはその社会的にやっぱり鹿が少ない時期は守ってたっていう時期もあってですね、1日に例えばメスは捕まえないとか、捕まえる頭数の制限があったりっていうですね、そういう保護されてた歴史もあってですね、順調にそれで増えてきたっていうこともですね、あります。
もともと鹿って1、2歳ぐらいでもう大人になって妊娠繁殖を始めるんですね。毎年子供を産むような、すごいたくましい動物で、そうなると、そういう住みやすい環境が整うとものすごい勢いで鹿って増えていくんですね。
This caught my attention. Deer can reproduce quickly. In fact, in an ideal situation, they can increase their population by 15 to 20% every year. This means that they can double their population in 5 years, quadruple it in 10. But why is it that there's now an ideal environment for deer in Japan? There are a few theories.
例えば地球温暖化の影響で、寒い冬が来なくて、
あまりその雪深いところには住めない動物なんですけれども、積雪が少なくなってくると、より多くの場所に分布できる。
狼が、もう日本では全滅してしまって、で鹿を減らすような要素が自然の中で減ってしまった。
In fact, wolves have been extinct in Japan since around 1900.
猟師ですねが高齢化が進んで、若い人たちがそういうことをやらなくなって、鹿が取られる数が減ったとか。
30代40代とかがすごい少ない。私たちの世代も少ないし、今狩猟されているのって80代90代の先輩猟師さんだったりするので。
That's right. The number of hunters has decreased significantly over the years. And by far, the largest group of hunters is 60 years and older. However, despite fewer hunters, the amount of deer hunted or culled has done the reverse. Another theory is that the physical makeup of the land has changed in the deer's favor. For example, starting in the 1950s and 60s, lots of Japan's deciduous forest were replaced with monocultures of cedar and cypress. While this was detrimental to biodiversity, wild boars and deer thrive in them. Farmland and grasslands may also play a role. Over the decades, there has been an increase of abandoned farms, which helps to expand the range of where deer can live. There's also been a 6-fold increase in grasslands in Hokkaido between 1961 and 1980. The grasslands meant for raising cattle and horses also do a great job of feeding deer. So to summarize, the deer have no natural predators, have climate that's more to their liking, and have more land in which to live and eat. And they breed quickly, so they can easily increase their numbers within a short period of time. As a result, in 2020, 500,000 deer were culled, while 150,000 were hunted. So the whole reason I started making this video was because I found out there was an overpopulation of deer in Japan. A potential solution that I came across a few times was to get Japanese to eat more deer. But it turns out that culling deer, which is the nice term you use for when you need to kill to control a population, isn't a great way to get more venison, which is the friendly name for deer meat.
今農林水産省が出している 9% っていう数字は、捕獲された鹿の全頭数のうちジビエの処理施設に運ばれて処理された鹿の頭数。
That 9% number probably seems quite low. Some deer will be too old or sick and won't be good to eat. The distance and capacity of processing facilities is also an issue.
まず処理施設の数が少ない、ちゃんと衛生的な処理をするためにはバーンってこう鹿を撃って、止め刺しっていう止め刺しをしてから30分以内とか1時間以内とかに、処理施設に運び込みましょうっていうガイドラインがありまして、でそれをまずクリアできないとお肉にできない。
I did find out that hunters can personally consume culled deer, so in reality, more than 9% is being used. However, I also found out that hunters don't really eat much culled meat since there's simply too much. And as mentioned, it can't be sold to anyone unless it's processed at a designated facility. So when you take into account all the factors, only about 9 or 10% end up being sent to a facility and sold as game meat or made into pet food. The other 90% are eaten by hunters, buried on site, or incinerated. So while it's easy to say that all the deer killed during a cull should at least be eaten, it unfortunately can't be done a lot of the time. That being said, the number of certified game meat processing facilities has increased in recent years, and the amount of deer and game meat that's been processed has also increased.
こういう問題を語るときはどうしても悪者を求めがちなんですね。人間の考え方って。例えば鹿が悪い、人が悪い、いろんな悪者があって悪者をなくせばなんとかなるっていうね。この問題の難しいところは単純な悪者がいないんですね。
Everybody I talked to didn't enjoy the fact that deer were culled. Initially, I thought that if you could get more people interested in eating deer, this could result in a better way to control the deer population. It could respect the lives that need to be taken in order to maintain a balance and protect the environment. But I learned that killing for population control and killing for eating are two separate things. Sometimes they can overlap, and when it does, it feels like at least the deer's life hasn't gone to waste. But because of all the complexity in timing, logistics, the health of animals, and the need to produce safe meat, it won't ever be possible to 100% use all culled deer. By the way, I actually tried venison a couple times during this project, and to my surprise, it was quite tasty. Honestly, if I didn't know it was deer, I would have been none the wiser. And despite all I said, the trends seem to be going in the right direction. It appears the number of deer needing to be culled is going to plateau and go down, and the population itself is now on the way to a more manageable number. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace.